Good morning, my dear students. I welcome to all of you to this session of Hydro, Wind and Wave Power. This is me, Dhiraj Mondol, Assistant Professor, JIS College of Engineering, Department of Mechanical Engineering. My contact number is given and my email ID. So you can follow me in this email ID and submit. You can submit the assignment here, and any kind of doubt related to admission and related to subject you can call me on this number. So JIS College of Engineering, Department of Mechanical Engineering welcome you that admission is open for 2020. You know that department JIS College of Engineering is first private engineering college in West Bengal according to the India Today ranking, and Department of Mechanical Engineering is NBA accredited, Tier 1 NBA accredited department. So you can join here, most welcome. Today we will be discussing about the introduction of the hydraulic turbine and its basic concept part 2, and uh, velocity triangle also it will be discussed. So let us start. So first of all, you know that last class what we have discussed the what is turbine, then what is hydraulic turbine, what is the function, what is the requirement, why we are using this one, and we have seen that this is the cheapest one, cheapest one to compared to the oil or your coal operated power plant. Okay, so basically in hydraulic power plant what we are using the water as a raw material, and basically by the help of that water what we are doing, the turbine blade is rotating by the help of the water jet, and the potential energy is converted into kinetic energy, and after that it will be given the shaft work, that is your mechanical energy. Clear? So here basically last class we have discussed this one, and we have seen that the efficiency, what is efficiency, hydraulic efficiency, mechanical efficiency, what is your overall efficiency, volumetric efficiency also discussed. Today we will be going to discuss about the classification of hydraulic turbine. So the hydraulic turbine are classified according to the type of energy available at the inlet of the turbine. Okay, so that means you know that energy available at the inlet of the turbine, if it is only kinetic energy, if it is kinetic energy and as well as pressure energy. So based on that the turbine can be classified. Okay, so according to the energy available at the inlet of the turbine, direction of flow through the vanes, head at the inlet of the turbine, and specific speed of the turbine. So based on these four parameter, we can classify a particular turbine, that which type of turbine it is. Okay. Now first of all, the according to the type of energy at the inlet. So if the energy available at the inlet is only kinetic energy, so at that time it will be called impulse turbine. So we will be discussing. So first of all, let us see according to the type of energy at inlet, turbine are classified as two types, it is impulse turbine and reaction turbine. Okay. So impulse turbine and reaction turbine, what is the definition of impulse turbine and reaction turbine? I am coming afterward. So you just see next one is your according to the direction of flow through runner. So according to the direction of flow through runner, it can be classified by four types: tangential flow turbine, radial flow turbine, axial flow turbine, and mixed flow turbine. Okay, next, according to the head at the inlet of the turbine. So according to the head at the inlet of the turbine, whether it is high head or medium head or low head, so it is classified by three types: high head turbine, medium head turbine, and low head turbine. Okay, Next, come to the next point, that is your according to the specific speed of the turbine. I will be discussing what is specific speed. So specific speed of the turbine is your low specific speed turbine, medium specific speed turbine, and high specific speed turbine. Okay. So these are the classification. Now let us discuss first of all, let us discuss according to the type of energy at the inlet. So this is what you can see: impulse turbine and reaction turbine. Two types of turbine. Now what is impulse turbine? Impulse turbine basically, if the energy available at the inlet of the turbine is only kinetic energy, then it will be called impulse turbine. Okay. So I hope it is clear. Only kinetic energy, that is your half mv square. So if the only kinetic energy available at the inlet of the turbine, then that means at that time the fluid or from the nozzle the water jet is striking to the turbine blade at atmospheric pressure. Okay, it is not some closed chamber. Okay, like reaction turbine. You can also this impulse turbine definition. I hope it is clear. Now, if I am talking about the reaction turbine, then I can say if the energy available at the inlet of the turbine is kinetic energy as well as pressure energy, then it will be called reaction turbine. That means reaction better if you want to see, that means see the reaction turbine. That means if you want to imagine the reaction turbine, it is nothing but a centrifugal pump, reverse of the centrifugal pump. Okay, you have seen the pump. Okay, so the at the inlet of the turbine we will be seeing that pressure energy as well as kinetic energy available at the inlet of the turbine. Clear? So that is why it is called your reaction turbine. Okay, now what happened here, the water flows through the runner. The water is under pressure. Okay, the water is under pressure and pressure energy goes on changing into kinetic energy. The runner is completely enclosed in an airtight casing and the runner casing is completely full of water. Okay, so this is all about the reaction turbine. Next, come to the next point, that is your according to the direction of the flow through the runner. So if the water flows along the tangent of the runner, the turbine is known as tangential flow turbine. That means if it is there is a, let us consider this is the Pelton wheel. Now when the jet is striking the wheel, when the vane, then the direction of the flow of the water jet is tangential with respect to the runner. So I hope you know that what is runner. So that is why it is called your tangential flow turbine. Okay, so if I want to define the radial flow turbine, then we can say if the water flows in the radial direction through the runner, the turbine is called radial flow turbine. Okay, so water is flowing radially or radial flow direction. Okay, next, if the water flows from outward to inward, so basically there are two types of radial flow turbine: inward radial flow turbine and outward radial flow turbine. Now if the water flows from outward to inward radially, the turbine is known as inward radial flow turbine. Similarly, what is outward radial flow turbine? If the water flows radially from inward to outward, then the turbine is known as outward radial flow turbine. Okay, now let us discuss about the axial flow turbine. So number 3 C is your axial flow turbine. If the water flows through the runner along the direction parallel to the axis of the rotation of the runner, that means it is the example of the axial flow turbine is your Kaplan turbine. Okay, and the example of radial flow reaction turbine is a Francis turbine. So we will be discussing afterward. So the water flows radially, the water flows through the runner along the direction parallel to the axis of the rotation of the runner, then it will be called axial flow turbine. Okay, and if the water flows through the runner in the radial direction but leaves in the direction parallel to axis of the rotation of the runner, the turbine is called mixed flow turbine. Clear? So what is mixed flow turbine? If the water flows through the runner radially and leaves direction parallel to the axis of the rotation, then it will become. So most of maximum reaction turbine you will be seen mixed flow turbine, because the maximum efficiency can be obtained here. Okay, now this is all about the classification. Now if I am talking about the runner, that means your Pelton wheel, and we will be seeing that the bucket, this is the bucket, here you can see like a bowl. Okay, so this bucket are shaped in such a way that the jet gets deflected through 160 to 170 degree. Okay, and the bucket, it is made of cast iron, cast steel, bronze, stainless steel. Okay, so these are the material which is used here. So this is the a figure, a photo of a Pelton wheel. Okay, now let us discuss the components of the Pelton wheel. So basically there are mainly four components, okay, of the Pelton wheel. Number one, you can see the nozzle and flow regulating arrangement. Okay, nozzle and flow regulating arrangement, or it is called also called, and flow regulating arrangement is called your spear. Okay, next is your runner and bucket. Number two is your runner and bucket. This one is your runner and this is your bucket. And number three is your casing. Okay, and number four is your braking jet. So in this figure you can see there is a structure or figure of Pelton wheel. So you can see here, this is your penstock and this one is your nozzle. This was called spear. This is your jet of water, vane, runner, and this one is your shaft, and this is your casing. Okay, now the question is, what is the function of this nozzle and flow regulating arrangement? So first of all, you see this one is your nozzle, this one is your nozzle. What is the function, what is the definition of nozzle? You have gone through in the thermodynamics chapter that nozzle is a device which is used to produce kinetic energy with the expense of pressure loss. That means at the inlet of the, that means at the end, when the water is coming out from the nozzle, before coming water releasing from the nozzle, we are having some pressure energy inside the water. Okay, that pressure energy is basically converted into kinetic energy, half mv square. Okay, and we are getting some velocity v. So half mv square is your energy, and that particular with the velocity v, the water is striking to the vane, and vane is rotating. So I hope it is clear. So in the mouth of the penstock, okay, or in the face of the penstock, the nozzle is installed, and nozzle is basically producing kinetic energy. That's all. Next, if I am talking about the spear or flow regulating arrangement. So what is spear or flow regulating arrangement? The spear is a basically conical needle which is operated either by a hand wheel or automatically in an axial direction depending upon the size of the unit. Okay, So when the spear is pushed forward into the nozzle, then what happened? The amount of water striking the runner is reduced. So here you can see in the figure, if the spear is it can be rotated by some hand wheel or some manual automatic wheel. Okay, so it is basically when the I'm rotating clockwise, then the spear is moving forward. So what happened? The water or flow rate of flow is regulated. Clear? Now if rate of flow is regulated, that means the water mass flow rate is reduced. Okay, now the what happened, if I'm releasing or if I'm anti rotating the wheel, here there should be a wheel. If I'm rotating that wheel, the spear is basically moving backward, and what happened, as a result, the rate of flow or mass flow rate will be in increasing order. So this is how, according to the necessity, according to our needs, need, that means how much water is needed and energy required at the outlet. So based on that, the spear is uh, basically direction, the rate of flow of water is regulated by the help of this spear. Okay, now when the water jet is striking to the vein is rotating. Now the next part component is your runner with bucket. So runner with bucket, runner you can see in the figure already it is mentioned runner. So something which is running, that is called runner. So this wheel, that means whatever the Pelton wheel we are observing here. So basically the vane is attached in the runner. Okay, so when the jet is striking to the vane, the runner is rotating. Clear? So a runner with bucket, this vane is called also bucket. One couple of bucket you can see, this is the front, it is the side view. So you will be seen that like this, you can see two bucket are placed parallelly to each other and the water jet is striking here. Okay, so this is how you can see the Pelton wheel is operated and the runner is rotating. Okay, now next part is your, now one more thing here I would like to mention that the water jet is striking in the somewhere in the middle portion, somewhere in the middle portion of the bucket. Okay, so two bucket are there and somewhere in the middle portion the water is striking. Okay, so that is also called your splitter. Okay, the shape of the bucket is of double a hemisphere. The shape of the bucket is basically double hemispherical cup or bowl. Each bucket is divided into two symmetrical parts by a dividing wall, which is known as splitter. Okay, so you will be seeing the dividing part here. Okay, so next is your casing. What is casing? Basically, the function of casing of a Pelton wheel is to prevent the splashing of water and to discharge water to tail race, and it also acts as a safeguard against accident. Okay, basically when this is your casing, and what happened inside the casing when the water jet is striking, so it is basically preventing the splashing of the water also, and it is the water is discharging in the tail race, and also noise, there may be some noise creation is reduced, and also we will see that if there is lot of rotating part and there may be some mechanical failure, so because of the failure the accident may occur. So it is also resisting the accident or safeguard against accident. Okay, so the casing the casing is made of cast iron or fabricated steel plate. Okay, so I hope it is clear. Next is your braking jet, very very important. Braking jet, here it is not shown. So what happened in the penstoke, there is a that means a channel, and where the water braking jet, basically when the nozzle is completely closed, by moving the spear in the forward direction, the amount of water striking the runner reduces to zero, but the runner, due to inertia, goes on revolving for a long time. To stop the runner in a short time, a small nozzle is provided which directs the jet of water on the back of the vane. Okay, the jet of water is called your braking jet. Basically it is braking the rotation. Okay, or the braking jet is reducing the rotational speed of the runner. So there may be some accident may occur, or sometime some emergency situation is taking place. Okay, so what happened at that time, there is some water jet, and through a nozzle the water is striking in the reverse side or back side of the vane, so that the suddenly the runner can be stopped. Okay, so this is all about the braking jet. I hope it is clear. Now I hope it is clear. Then now next is your topic is your velocity triangle and work done of Pelton wheel. So we will be discussing velocity triangle of a Pelton wheel and work done, how we can calculate the work done. So let us discuss the learning outcome. You can see that to understand the basic concept of the velocity triangle and work done of the Pelton wheel. Okay, now let us start. So in this figure you can see this is the shape of a Pelton wheel. The bucket is placed here, you can see, and this part is called your splitter. Okay, the water jet is striking here. So this is, you can see, nozzle. From the by the help of this nozzle the water is striking. Okay, and the Pelton wheel is rotating. Okay, so let us discuss about the velocity triangle, very very important for your exam point of view. The velocity triangle and work done of a Pelton wheel can be discussed here. You can see this is the splitter. Okay, and one bucket is shown here. Now already in impact of jet in fluid machinery subject, you have seen that the velocity triangle of a curved vane. Okay, so here if you compare that part, so here the water is not striking in the one tip of the bucket, but it is coming out from the end or tip of the bucket. So what happened, the velocity triangle here, it is striking in the somewhere in the center or middle portion of the vane. Okay, so what happened here, the v1 would be vw1. V1 is the absolute velocity of the jet which is coming out from the nozzle, and vw1 is equal to what, real velocity at the inlet, and it is basically nothing but the horizontal velocity component. Okay, u1 is the bucket velocity at inlet, vr1 is the relative velocity at inlet. So as we know that it is tangential flow turbine, the Pelton turbine is called your tangential flow impulse turbine. So this is the your consideration in the inlet, and in the outlet what you have seen, vr2 is the relative velocity at outlet, v2 vf2 and so on, vw2 vu2. Okay, so the H is what, H is the net head acting on the Pelton wheel, and H is equal to hg minus hf, and hf is equal to, already you know that it is 4 fl v square by 2 gd, where d is the diameter of the penstoke. Clear? And small d star is the diameter of the penstoke, and d is equal to diameter of the wheel. Okay, and n is the speed of the wheel in rpm, d is the diameter of the jet, v1 is equal to velocity of the jet and at inlet, that is equal to root over 2 gs, u1 is equal to u2 is equal to u, that is equal to pi dn by 60. Now this is the consideration, u1 is equal to u2 is equal to u, okay, and it is equal to pi dn by 60. Now the velocity triangle at the inlet will be straight line, so you can see this is the velocity triangle at the inlet, and here from the diagram you can easily say that vr1 is equal to v1 minus u1, clear, and u1 is equal to, also we know that u, only u, so vw1 is equal to v1 and alpha is equal to 0, here alpha is the your guide blade angle and theta is the guide vane angle, so alpha is equal to 0 degree here you can see, because the v1 and vw1 is collapsing to each other, okay, so that is why alpha is equal to 0 degree and theta is equal to guide vane angle and it is equal to 0 degree also. So you can see the vr1 is equal to vr2, this is another you can see here vr1 v1 is equal to what, vr1 is equal to, you have seen vr1 is equal to v1 minus u, okay, and v1 is equal to vw1. Now the consideration, another consideration, we are considering there is not any kind of losses, so vr2 is equal to vr1, so vw2 can be written as vr2 cos phi minus u2, because in this diagram vw2 can be written as vr2 total, this one vr2 cos phi minus u2, where phi is what, beta is the at the outlet guide blade angle and phi is equal to guide vane angle at the outlet, and angle of deflection is given here, you can see angle of deflection, how much deflecting, okay, so you can see this one. Now the vr1 is equal to vr2 is equal to vr1 and vw2 is equal to real velocity at outlet is equal to vr2 cos phi minus u. Now equation number, next equation, you can see the force exerted by the jet of water in the direction of motion is given, you can see fx is equal to rho a mass flow rate into vw1 plus minus vw2, so here plus why we are taking, because we can see this is the angle of deflection, it is your 165, so actually the acute, when the beta is your acute angle, then it is your plus, when it is not acute angle, it is obtuse angle, then it will be minus. So the angle, angle beta is acute angle here, so that is why it is taken positive. If it is obtuse angle, then it will be minus, okay, and a small a is equal to what, small a is equal to area of the jet, that is your pi by 4 d square, clear, pi by 4 small d square. So what is the work done? Work done by the jet on the runner per second is equal to fx into u, because the displacement rate, so rate of displacement is equal to your bucket velocity, okay, so how much bucket is displacing per unit time, so fx into u is equal to work done, so rho a v1 is the into vw1 plus vw2 is the fx and u is the your velocity or bucket velocity or displacement rate, so Newton meter per Newton is the unit here. Now the power given to the runner by the jet, so what is the power in terms of kilowatt, you have to find out, so this work done is also your, here you can see rho a v1 vw1 plus vw2 into u2 by 1000, so this is all about the power. Now the work done per second per unit weight of water striking, so at that time we have to divide it by the weight of the water striking, so what weight of the water is your mg, so rho a m mass flow rate into g, so rho a v1 is the m and g, so rho a v1 cancel out, so 1 by g vw1 plus vw2 into u. The kinetic energy supplied to the runner at the inlet and the kinetic energy supplied to the jet at the inlet in the form of kinetic energy. So here basically the kinetic energy is half mv square. So what is kinetic energy of the jet per second? Half m is equal to rho a v1 and v1 square. So this is all about the kinetic energy, half rho a v1 cube. Clear? So this is the energy available at the inlet of the turbine. Now see here, hydraulic efficiency is equal to work done per second by kinetic energy of the water per second. So already I have discussed what is the work done per second, rho a v1 vw1 plus vw2 into u by half rho a v1 into v1 square. So ultimately it is equal to the efficiency, hydraulic efficiency is equal to 2 into vw1 plus vw2 into u by v1 square. Clear? So what we have seen? We have seen that efficiency, hydraulic efficiency is equal to 2 rho vw1 plus vw2 into u by v1 square. Now vw1 is equal to v1 and vr1 is equal to v1 minus v1 or v1 minus u, and r2 is equal to v1 minus u. You can see in this figure, in this diagram you can see. Okay, so from this diagram I can easily say that vr2 is equal to v1 minus u and vw2 is equal to vr2 cos phi minus u, and vr2 cos phi minus u, it can be written as vr2 is equal to what? v1 minus u v1 minus u cos phi minus u. So the if I am substituting the value of this value, you can see vw1 and vw2. So hydraulic efficiency is 2 into v1, vw1 is equal to v1 na. So here vw1 is equal to v1 and vw2 is equal to v1 minus u into cos phi minus u, and third bracket close into u by v1 square. So after simplifying this equation, you will be getting this equation 2 into v1 minus u into 1 plus cos phi into u by v1 square. Now the efficiency will be maximum for a given value of v1. Okay, so what is the efficiency? The efficiency, if I want to calculate the maximum efficiency, then we have to differentiate it with respect to the variable that is your u. So d du of eta is equal to 0. So after simplifying, after derivation, you will be seeing that the relation between the v1 and u is equal to v1 by 2, u is equal to v1 by 2. Now if I am putting that u is equal to v1 by 2, then the maximum hydraulic efficiency would be 1 plus cos phi after replacing the u by v1 by 2. Okay, so this is all about the Pelton wheel, the efficiency, maximum hydraulic efficiency I have discussed. Next class we will be discussing some point to remember for the Pelton wheel, and numerical problem will be discussed. So today up to this, thank you for listening. Jai Hind.